So, with that, I'm going to turn over the podium to Bernadette Dutra. We're very proud that we have a Cape Cod-based business that is doing something not only in technology, but something that's so relevant and so important to what we're doing today. So she's going to talk about cybersecurity with a focus on penetration testing, which is one of her specialties, and very unusually in the business, working with a lot of healthcare companies, she's HIPAA compliant and HIPAA aware. So really, really interesting twist. Ed, I expect you to kind of drill her a little bit on that, okay? So, you know, you kind of ask some hard questions. Well, I'm pointing out it's Ed. He's a good guy, but he will ask a hard question.
Great.
But anyway, with that, I turn it over to Bernadette. Have at it, and you know, welcome.
Thank you. Okay, first question I have for you, and I'd love this to be a little bit more interactive rather than me kind of going through and telling you everything. So who left the house without turning Wi-Fi off this morning? Okay, I thought so. So I actively turn off Wi-Fi because your phone scans for available connections even when not needed. So this exposes you to security risks. You can connect to a weak or an unknown network, and it will expose your data to cybercriminals. So you're going to notice throughout my presentation too that I'm going to use the word cybercriminals because we like hackers where I come from, because hackers, ethical hackers, if you will, they are the ones who find the weaknesses for you and tell you where they are and help you solve for your vulnerabilities. So I'm going to get started with a little bit about me. I live in Truro. My background is in healthcare IT. So I first started my career with Athena Health, and then I went to work for Imprivata, which is a digital identity security company. If you know, they're also cybersecurity technical solutions. As soon as I could go remote in 2018, I went remote. So I am very pro technology, pro AI. Definitely not a fear mongerer, but I definitely saw when I was at Imprivata that there is a significant gap in the methodology for cybersecurity across the board. So really what I found was that pen testing is something that people do, large companies do, so banks do, and they do it on a regular basis. So when I saw my clients who were large healthcare systems in 2022 and 2023 still being hacked, I was like, you know what? I think that I should go off on my own, build a company. And so that's what I did. I found a very, very cool team of former military, Department of Defense secret clearance. They have all the certifications, and we worked together to build INTELLUSACCESS. So that is a little bit about me. I hope I didn't go too much. So I have two screens going on here. So we're going to go here. So times have changed significantly. Cybercrime in this day and age is now relentless, and there's no signs of it letting up. I'm sure that you can see it from the news and from friends and family around you all the time now. So there we go. So here's some stats and trends for cyber attacks in 2024. There are many, many more I'm sure that you've seen come across the radar. But as you can see, the average cost of a data breach in 2024 is $4.88 million. That is the highest on record. Ransomware is considered to be the most immediate threat with damages costing victims nearly $265 billion annually by 2031. I'm going to skip the next one because we'll talk about humans in a moment. Multi-factor authentication is quickly becoming the standard for securing accounts and data. So it is definitely, you will see that you need to log on and then get a text message and then input a PIN. That is annoying, but it's very, very good. And there are currently more than 1.2 billion malware programs in existence. So let's talk about how 88% of cybersecurity breaches are caused by human error. So it's probably more like 98% are caused by human error because we are responsible for the technology that we use. So it's not just phishing campaigns, it's the vulnerabilities, it's using the, older software. I mean, across the board, there's so many different risks that are out there. But it is, it is humans that are responsible for it. The one thing, and you can see it in green here, is that 42% of companies are affected by cyber fatigue or apathy. So proactively defending against cyber attacks is not something that is really high on people's radar just yet. Even a lot of hospitals are still trying to figure out what to do next with all of the cyber criminals that are trying to get in. I mean, yes.
It's the apathy for the individuals at work, the employee, or the leadership?
It's across the board. I think a lot of it is it's education and how to begin and how to actually start their cybersecurity journey, how to beef it up. From what I've seen, the C-suite and the boards do not have as much education as those, as the IT teams. And we've worked with the IT guy named Joe for a small hospital out in Michigan. So that was the one that was directly working with us, not the CIO, not that leadership. So there really is a giant gap in education about security, digital security, which is cybersecurity. Cyber is a fancy word, it's digital security. But apathy this is not just in business. I mean, it's apathy in general as in the population. So it's like, well, I'm just going to wait until something bad happens. And then, I mean, it's kind of, something bad is going to happen at some point. There are millions of cyber criminals out there. It's only ramping up. So the best thing that you can do is to educate yourself. And we will talk more about that as we move forward. There's one more thing that I did want to bring. So I brought a lot of information here and hit a lot of slides because I did not hit a lot of slides in my PowerPoint because I didn't want to talk too much and go overboard because there's a lot of information. So I'm going to go to another statistic or trend of what's happening right now in 2024. We're there. Okay, so this here, so there is a significant amount of APTs from nation state actors, foreign state, that are targeting our critical infrastructure, like our power grids, transportation systems, and healthcare services with nation state funding. So these are foreign state. Our critical infrastructure is at risk. So there are attacks on our energy grids, our water supply systems, and other critical infrastructures. This really does highlight the need for improved cybersecurity in these areas. How many of you have heard about this occurring? Anybody in the news? Good, okay, wonderful. So it is out there, and people are talking about it, yeah? Yes, good, okay. I don't watch the news right now. I get all my information from the computer. So I also follow some cyber experts. And so just the other day, there are some cyber experts that work in Palo Alto, and a state-sponsored hackers have teamed up with a criminal ransomware gang using stolen credentials. So this is a trend that's coming that could be very volatile for us. So this is something that I'm bringing up because if you or a member of your family or a colleague are an owner or an operator of a critical infrastructure, this is definitely something that you want to highlight to them. Share this information, essentially. I'm going to move on to current scams. Okay, so as you can see, there's a lot here. The scams these days have come a long way from like the Nigerian prince that wanted to share his $1 million with you. Because we all remember that scam in the email. And that's exactly what you think of when you think of scams. But now it's really out of control. This is just a small example of the scams that are out there. I mean, I know off the top of my head, there's plenty more, but I kind of wanted to give you a little bit of, here, this is real. They're also sending a couple of other things that I've seen, and this is, this is education that you want to share with your colleagues, with your friends. Those fake texts from the UPS company that say, "Hey, you got a package? Anybody got those?" Yes, yeah. Don't answer. Don't click the link. Don't ever click the link.
Yeah.
That's the biggest key here is, there's also one that I found. So if your daughter, your son, something sounds off, somebody calls you with a request for money and it's urgent, do your research. Call back, if you will. Those AI scams are, they're getting more and more real. So I definitely recommend. I mean, I know that if my son called and said, "Mom, it's an emergency, I really need $800 or $8,000," I would be like, "Okay, well, I love you so much, but let me just call you right back and let me see." I mean, truthfully. So, I mean, phishing scams as well are not just online now. Like I'm saying, it's via text or phone call. There is another one that I wanted to talk to. It's not up on this slide, but Facebook. Who has Facebook? Social media. Okay, not many. All right. Facebook is an ideal place for scammers because it really seems like we're all human. You can fall for any scam. Anything. It can be from romance to a job to a house for rent. They're getting really, really good. They're so good that last year I too fell for a scam because I was going to buy baby goats for my Great Pyrenees puppies, and they weren't actually selling baby goats. They just took my $50 and never gave me the baby goats. So that was another reason why I was like, "Oh, okay, this is terrible. How dare it? Baby goats? Who would have thought?" So it is. I mean, it is, but it's definitely a thing, and you would never think. I mean, it looked really legitimate to me, and I, definitely made me more aware of buying anything on Facebook. So I think my biggest, point here is that stay aware all the time. If something doesn't look right, it probably isn't, especially now. So just kind of, trust no one, and we'll get into a little bit about zero trust here soon as well. Okay, so cybercrime is evolving rapidly. It is becoming more sophisticated and accessible to a wider range of actors. The rise of ransomware, targeted phishing, Supply chain attacks are just a few challenges that organizations face. So really, truly, companies, individuals really need to adopt proactive cybersecurity. So you're going to hear proactive cybersecurity from me a little bit more as we move forward in this, because you really want to stay aware. You want to be on top. You want to protect yourself, because we are never going to stop using technology. There is no other way. We like things to move faster. We like to streamline our processes. I'm super excited about AI. I love it. I was born before the internet. So this is just with the rise of cybercrime, it's just more about staying aware and really kind of extending your knowledge to everybody around you so that they can be aware too and stay safe during this time. Really more to bang the drum on this. So zero trust. So zero trust in cybersecurity means that no user or device is inherently trusted, even if they're inside a network. So in my company, we trust no one. We follow the zero trust security model. It assumes that no one should be trusted to access an organization's systems unless their identity and authorization are verified. This is definitely something that is in our WISP. Never trust, always verify, limit access privileges, and continuous monitoring for suspicious activity. This is definitely something that allows for quick detection and responses to threats, minimizing your security risk within the network. Okay. I'm going to let you read this for a second. So the art of war teaches us to rely not on the likelihood of the enemy's not coming, but our own readiness to receive him. So not on the chance of his not attacking, but rather on the fact that we have made our position unassailable. Again, really kind of honing in on just be prepared and be ready, because you don't know if it's going to occur, but it most likely is in some way, shape, or form. So let's go now and switch over to essential cyber awareness. So I took what I have here is I have a pretty robust cyber awareness program. It takes about 2 hours. So I slimmed it down so that at least I can get information out to you, the crucial elements of cyber education. And if you have any questions too, about anything, it ranges from email safety, mobile device safety, Internet of Things, digital awareness. I can elaborate if you have questions, but we are going to go here to essential cyber hygiene. I put these on 2 slides so that you can take photos and share them. So let's go through it. Use strong and unique passwords. Don't reuse your passwords, even though it feels like you should and it helps you remember. A lot of what I do, they say use a password manager. I write down my passwords on a piece of, in a notebook, because I cannot remember every password. I do change them every 3 months. Except I also changed them. My debit card was compromised last week, so I changed all of my passwords. That is, another hint or tip. If you in any way have some sort of security event personally or within your company, change your passwords. Very, very important. Complex passwords. Use those. We recommend 12 digits. At least 1 capital and lowercase letter, at least 1 number. Special characters are pretty great. Commas are better. Commas are much better. So use a comma, use 2 commas in your passwords. No more than 2 consecutive characters. Change your password as required by your entity's password policy. So that is one of those things when you're at work, it's going to pop up. Your workplace should have a reminder to change your password. If not, you should talk to them about that. But you should be changing your password on a regular basis. Okay, enable multi-factor authentication. So again, adding an extra layer of security to important accounts such as email, banking, and work systems. Keep your software updated. Regularly update your device, all your devices and applications to patch security vulnerabilities. They will remind you. Be cautious with links and attachments, all of them. Avoid clicking on links that do not look like you should be clicking on them. Anything that you have, again, I know that I'm reiterating a lot, but anything that comes up that doesn't seem right, don't click the link. Just disregard it. You can just pretend it never came. And then if it's super important, whoever needs you will get you. Secure your Wi-Fi. Use a strong password for your home Wi-Fi and consider hiding the network name for added privacy. This is really easy. You can just go to Google. They provide it right there at the top on how to hide your SSID. Limit your personal information online. Avoid oversharing on social media to reduce the risk of identity theft or targeted attacks. A couple of examples of that are when people have babies, they like to share their child's birth date and where they were born and how much they weighed, and a lot of really critical information. Grandparents do it too. It's one of these things where it's not smart. It's not smart to do. Another thing that off the top of my head that is probably not the smartest thing to do is to post photos while you're on vacation. This is key, especially, and this is not even just for cyber criminals. It's regular criminals who could, get wind of that and then break into your home. So really, that sharing of personal information, it's great. I mean, I use Facebook, I use Instagram. It's just kind of all about how you use the tool. Okay, let's move forward. Essentially, so a bit more here. All right, so use antivirus and firewall protection. Install reputable antivirus software and enable firewalls to detect and block threats. This is I hope something that everybody uses because it's kind of an old school methodology. So let's hope that everyone is using a antivirus and a firewall. Here's something that my friends have not used at home. So a VPN. I recommend using a VPN on your personal computers at home. This is very, very important. It bounces your IP address. It just makes it a little bit harder for people to get your data. I have to admit that I didn't start using a VPN until I met my team that I work with, and they were like, "Okay, we know where you live. You need to get a VPN right now." And these are my, they're the cyber experts. They're the ethical hackers that I work with. And so they definitely tested every boundary that I have. This is why I'm here sharing all this information with you, because at one point I didn't change a password and they were testing my security and let me know in a very sneaky way that I needed to change my passwords. So I've learned, and now I can see how easy it is for cyber criminals to get into your own private data. Okay, avoid public Wi-Fi for sensitive tasks. This kind of should be something that's pretty typical, but it is. If you have a Wi-Fi on when you leave work, or when you leave your home and you go to the bank, or let's say you go to the grocery store, because everybody goes to the grocery store, and you're like, oh, how much money do I have in my bank account? So you log on. Well, you could definitely, if you left your Wi-Fi on, you could have logged on to anybody's Wi-Fi that it found. And there are cyber criminals out there who have these specific tools who are looking for your phones that are searching for Wi-Fi. And it'll log on automatically. So don't use public Wi-Fi. You don't have to. For sensitive tasks. Use it if you need it. Back up your data regularly. Create regular backups of important files, especially at work, to protect against data loss or unauthorized access. So IoT devices, they can be hacked. Why would people hack into IoT devices? Internet of Things. It's a way into your network. So is Alexa listening in on your confidential work conversations? Yes. Disable it in your workspace and when you're at home, if you're not Can your IoT devices, such as your smart doorbell and camera security system, be hacked? Yep. Other smart devices are vulnerable. Smart TVs, beds, doorbells, dog feeders, door locks, garage door openers, refrigerators, HVAC systems, smoke and CO2 detectors. Use all the protection that you can and limit your use of smart devices. That's what I'm saying. They're cool. Limit them. Educate your family and coworkers. So share these basic cybersecurity practices with family members and colleagues to create a secure environment both at home and at work. Share them across the board, even if you think they don't know. Kids, I have a 16-year-old. He, even with everything that I'm doing, knows more than I do. So with all the tips and tricks, and he actually was learning how to hack when he was in the 8th grade. So, you know, I was like, oh, great. Thank you, pandemic, for all of that knowledge that my kid gained. He's now into forensic science, so I think he's graduated out of that area, which I am thankful for. Again, so report suspicious activity immediately. At work, report unusual emails or links to the IT or security teams, also to management. You know, if you see anything when you're at work, say something. If you do see that something is off at work, disconnect. Don't ignore the problem. Disconnect from the network. Alert IT and management. Note events, activities, symptoms leading to the event. Do not turn off your device. Critical data may be lost if powered off. The data is potential breadcrumbs for incident response teams to trace how to possibly reverse the process. So keep that in mind if something does happen at work. This is not always something that is spoken about, but don't turn off the device. Okay. So moving forward here. Okay. So preventative cybersecurity measures protect against cyber attacks before they happen. Again, it's repetitive. Now I'm going to share with you what we do at INTELLUSACCESS. So we help our clients protect against cyber attacks before they happen. Good. So, giant leaps in technology have led to giant gaps in security. With our heavy reliance on technological advancements, security technology alone is not enough. It is necessary because security, you need several layers. I'm a full supporter of several layers of security, but it's not enough. Regular security testing is essential to ensure robust protection. The effect of overlooking this security gap has left millions, as you can see, with compromised data, massive revenue loss, direct disruption or exploitation of targeted devices, severe operational disruption, reputational damage, and many times over a period of time, complete outage of networks. This happens from the hospitals that I've seen this happen. there's a lot more effects. It becomes down to patient care, patients' lives, and it's really, really scary. So network security testing, pen testing, is a critical component that has been overlooked in the rush to digitize operations and streamline processes. So what we do is really either the best first step, or whenever software is added or changed, getting a pen test is really important. So let's go to the next slide. So what we focus on here is the vulnerable networks. So networks, I'm going to go, some of you may know, some of you may not know, but networks are comprised of websites, apps, software, cloud storage, containers, embedded devices, mobile devices, AI tools. This is where the vulnerabilities lay. It's not, sorry, just was looking at the complete wrong screen. Okay, so this is where the vulnerabilities lay. All these solutions require upkeep. And it's not all about outdated software, but we find weak and invalid credentials, unnecessary open ports, and definitely a lack of proper access controls. What else have we found? Open source code. I've had a client, our first client was a small provider-led practice in Michigan, and they had no idea what they had. There were so many open ports, ways in through their website that was actually a marketplace partner for one of their very large vendors. So there's stuff, it's not as advanced as we think, okay? Another key focus area is human error. So what we do is, we teach social engineering efforts, and we also have the cyber awareness program with HIPAA training involved. And then another thing that we added as I was kind of building out the company was physical security testing. A lot of people use electronics for their physical security measures, and those can be tested as well. So, one thing comes down and it brings down the entire barrier. So it is something that you want to test. You want to test all the barriers as you are doing your process. So one other thing that I wanted to add here too is that what we help our clients understand is what their digital landscape is, or their ecosystem. I found that this slide helps a lot when talking through, so what do you have? How many end users? What are your software programs? Because a lot of it is discovery. So we found that while talking with our clients, there is a method to understanding what people have in their ecosystem, in their infrastructure. So web presence, websites, social media, data systems, cybersecurity protocols. So those are your firewalls, encryptions, antivirus software, digital marketing and communication, email, SEO, and then your IT infrastructure. So this is one of the things that we work very closely with the IT teams in the hospital. And it's all your digital hardware, servers, computers, but your software systems necessary for business operations. So that can range in across the board for all the different, manufacturing, construction. Everybody has software. And then again, physical landscape, those physical locations, physical computers, networking devices, machinery, security measures, like locks, cameras, access control systems. So the point of this is that the larger and more complex the landscape or ecosystem is, the more opportunities attackers have to breach your defenses. So that's what we found, and that is why hospitals have become such a target, because they have a very large digital landscape, because we are using many tools to streamline our jobs, and AI is coming. And what I'm saying is it's great. It's making things move faster. I worked at Athena Health and took hospitals from paper to electronic medical records. I mean, it really made everything move faster and more efficient. But with that, there was never any security protocols, and I know that because I was there. So that is, one of the things where I saw what a gap we have. So let's talk a little bit about pen testing. We're here. Okay, good. So I'm going to let you read through that a little bit, and then I'm going to start talking and break it down. So who's heard of pen testing? Good. Good. Who knows what pen testing is? Good. Okay. That's good because I was going to break it down for everybody else. So pen testing is what we do. It's a simulated attack, and we mimic the actions of real attackers. It's ethical hacking. This is very, very cool. I mean, all of the tests that we do are conducted with permission. We have a rules of engagement. I'll go into that in a little bit, but everything is defined, and it has to be by law. So every time we test the system, we can make recommendations, sure, on where to test, but it has, I mean, the amount of paperwork to complete a pen test legally is a lot, but it's worth it. So what's pen testing on a simple level? It's like hiring somebody to break into your house, but they're the good guys. So here's a really simple breakdown. So we're really the friendly burglar. So we'd hire a burglar to break in to see if they can find any flaws in your security. They're going to check if your doors are really locked, if your alarm is working, or if there's a window left open. And if they get in, which most likely they do, we tell you exactly how we did it. And an example of that when it comes to what we do in our field is, we find outdated software that's vulnerable to critical exploitation, or credentials in code. When we find credentials in code, it's like the equivalent to leaving a key under the mat. It's there. We just need to know where to look. Okay. And then, why is pen testing free? It's a proactive defense. It is like a fire drill for your security protocols. It allows for budgeting and more informed decision making. This is key, and usually the moment when my clients say yes, because it's data-driven reporting that we give you that allows for budgeting, and of course more informed decision making. Their compliance requirements. So many industries require regular pen testing at least annually to meet standards and ongoing security. PCI DSS, company has a credit card machine, should be having a pen test once a year. In this day and age, you should probably do it twice a year. HIPAA also requires it, and usually it's by a third party. Data protection. Pen testing helps safeguard sensitive information by identifying and mitigating weak points in data protection measures. I mean, this really, the reason I'm on the pen testing bandwagon so much is that it really helps. I mean, it's data driven, and we use offensive security tools, so we really help you to understand what does your landscape look like, and then also where are the weak spots so that you can fix them before the cyber criminals find them. I think I was one slide behind, but you guys are with me, yeah? Okay, how we break it down. So what makes us different, and this was really important to me when we started building, was that we assess. So we work with our clients using a clearly defined rules of engagement scoping process. We use proven cyber methodology, testing the network security posture, identifying these vulnerabilities. We consult, so we provide that in-depth reporting, and we educate, providing cyber education throughout the whole process. So that's key here, is to be able to speak to what are we doing, how are we doing it, and why is this beneficial to you? And then we also have, obviously, our cyber awareness program. What really makes us different is that with all of our expertise from all the different areas, we humanize the process. So we provide that consistent communication throughout the cybersecurity journey. This has been incredibly helpful to my clients, especially in healthcare, especially with the IT teams in healthcare. I spent a lot of time in my roles working with the IT teams all the way up to the CIO, and the IT teams are really, it's a lot. It's a lot of pressure of what they do and what they're responsible for. So I really wanted to make sure that with my company, what we do is, we are working with them every step of the way, and also educating them as we go through each process that we need to. And then, just another quick thing. I know I'm coming on time, and I wanted to leave time for questions, so I did not want to talk too much. But my first, our first client ever, I think I had mentioned, was Dr. Ram. He was a former client of mine at Athena Health, and he was the first client that I had to actually pen test. And he had absolutely no idea what he was looking at. His wife is a software developer, so she was on the call with us. So when we did the pen test and we read out verbally what we found, I've never seen more overwhelmed from such a brilliant man in my entire life, and I have known him for a really long time. So seeing that look on his face and how necessary it was to deliver him the criticals and vulnerabilities in his system really made me feel like, okay, this is really necessary, and it's something that I really want to impress upon everyone, if I can. And so, good. With that, just a few reminders before we go. Stay vigilant. Use those strong and unique passwords. Enable MFA. Stay alert for phishing and scams. Update your software regularly. Use secure networks on the Wi-Fi and use a VPN. Limit your sharing. And do your research. If you think something is off, it's not right, it probably is. Trust no one. Share what you've learned today. Okay, we're good. Questions? Okay.
Yeah, I'm interested in your remarks about the IT staff at healthcare providers, particularly those that have in-house servers.
Yeah.
There was a while back when the Army was encouraging, to say the least, small providers with in-house servers to get off of something like AWS.
Yeah.
How competent are the IT staff at these smaller, say, hospitals?
I found that they learn on the fly. They learn on the fly, and they'll bring in somebody. I mean, they really do learn on the fly, and they are extremely educated. So forgive me, I'm trying to think back from if we've come across if I've been a part of anyone. I mean, a lot of the transition, so if they go from servers to, say, AWS, there are guides, like steps to follow. So, and it's not just that way with AWS, but it is with software. So I'm talking lightly about this because I'm not an expert, but it's tough, but they do it. To help your question, yeah.
And they're competent. Do they have enough people? I guess that would be.
No, they definitely don't have.
Yeah.
No, not at all. It's limited. Budgets are limited in healthcare. It's hard to see. I think it was you. You had yes.
Yeah, has there been any conversation in the cybersecurity industry about the eventual threats of stable quantum computers?
I read an article about it. But I don't have any knowledge of that as of yet, but I know that it's out there. I mean, it did come across my radar, and I do go down many rabbit holes. So there's definitely conversations about it. Yes. Hi.
So to your point about like possible system being space for a million end users, like participants,
Yeah.
what is kind of your thought on like the range of, you know, people now have access to like Epic and all sort of portals to get every piece of information immediately. Like they have a set of tests done, like all their stuff is built immediately versus like an older system of like you go in and you see your physician, you talk through them, and you don't necessarily have that digital access. Like in your opinion, kind of where do you see like an appropriate on that sliding scale of, you know, patients have immediate access to everything digitally versus like we're just creating more and more end users and bigger digital systems that have more and more capabilities for that.
Okay, so it's like kind of where do I think the line should be, John, on patient access? I think that zero trust is something that's super important. There should be limited access across the board for all end users. I mean, everybody should act like a security officer. I don't think that everybody does. So it really, I think there's a vetting process that should occur. Did that answer your question?
Yes, just like
Kind of.
the
Yeah.
many levels of multiple verification and stuff like that.
Yes. Yes. Exactly. Yep. Yes.
The idea of pen testing for any enterprise, anything, is often can be driven by liability insurance or cyber insurance. Are you finding that when you interface with organizations that, hey, you know, my insurance company said I got to do this, or I got to do it twice, or is that the trend? I mean, and as you're staring at all this stuff,
It is and it isn't. People will do pen testing if they want to. That's what I've seen. I'm sure that it's coming down the pipe with heavier laws and regulations that people need to do pen testing. It is a requirement. We're just now starting to see that people are starting to follow the recommendations and the laws.
So about 3 years ago, someone got into my bank account, was scheduled to have about $9,000 worth of checks sent to a location. And I caught it and shut it down and shut down the account. And the bank said, file a police report. And so I took all this information, went down to the Falmouth Police Department, filed a report. And I said, you can catch this guy. They're having the checks mailed to a physical address.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do? Well, we're too small.
Oh my gosh.
They said the bank will do this. So I called the bank and they said, no, we don't do that. Police department does that. So nobody was following this up.
Yeah.
And it looked like that's just the cost of doing business when the bank spends money this way, if they factor it in.
Okay.
So where do you go to actually have somebody pursue this stuff?
So I'm going to walk you through just a little bit of this because I do have it. So it's kind of so you really want to report the scam like you did to the authorities. The police should be doing something in this day and age. Though I mean, like, so that was 3 years ago. Now they're very much on top of. From what I've seen from the people who have had something like this occur or the money come out, they have definitely refunded the money. So you definitely got the runaround, even if it was a small, because times, like I said, times have changed. So what you'll want to do though, if this does happen, is that you'll immediately want to freeze your credit. That's important. You'll want to take screenshots of anything that you had, so any communication, how you found this out. Contact your bank like you did, or the credit card provider. and have them either try to reverse the payment. So this was a check, so that's a little bit different. But if it happens electronically, they can potentially, within a short period of time, reverse the payments. You'll also want to, completely change out your debit card, et cetera, or credit card. The biggest thing too, and you did do it, it was reporting that to the authorities. You'll want to not only report it to the authorities, if it is outside the country, you'll want to report it to the Department of Homeland Security. That's key. And there's numbers, and you can find it online pretty easy. If you got scammed on a platform, report it to the admin or the actual company. And then again, change your passwords and secure your accounts. So anytime anything like that happens, that is when you will need to kind of invoke your security protocols and change your passwords and go forward. So if that happens to you again, you definitely have to push for, like somebody says, no, the police are going to do it or the bank is going to do it. I would go to like the next level in law enforcement because it's so common now that they have protocols in order. So I'm sorry that happened, but I would definitely push the boundaries next time because it's not right. And seek legal advice. That's another one. And be wary of follow-up scams. So that's just a little bit about scamming. No, we're close to time. Any more questions? Yeah. Hi.
So actually going off of that question, I had something similar happen with a client a couple of years ago, and it was the same thing. It was like between the banks and law enforcement. No one would touch it. It was also outside of state because what was happening was we used a payment platform like Melio to send the payments. So I'm just curious, like, what are your thoughts on using like platforms like that to send ACH payments with security?
I think one really big one was just hacked, right? Just recently. I think they're really, really useful. And it's hard to not use something that makes things work so quickly. I love Venmo. I never want to stop using it. It's good. I think that as this, the state of cybercrime improves, I guess you could say, like it gets worse. They are finding, you definitely push the envelope. If you're scammed or hacked into, don't stop at local law enforcement. Go to the next level of law enforcement. Go to demand that somebody look this up. I mean, they have protocols, they have ways to find them. It might take some time, but this is where, yes, I own a security company, but we can't stop our life. We just have to, push the envelope and figure out how to get them if they're going to get us. I mean, that's my view. Hi.
First, I'm so happy to know that you're doing what you're doing on the Cape, and I feel like there's such a need. Like, you could be multiplied tenfold.
I am doing it at the Truro Library tomorrow for my local community.
So I worked with a nonprofit organization that was like a $30 million budget and 300 employees, and they had a 2-person IT team.
Yes.
They probably should have had a 10-person or 12-person. And they had a managed service provider, and they did get cybersecurity insurance. They finally agreed to spend the money on the pen testing, and it was eye-opening. Now I work with a lot of really tiny sole-owned businesses, nonprofits, very small. They would never have even heard of any of this, and they're so vulnerable. Like, there's the 80-person church that they're all logging into different software, and they're constantly getting scammed and I just wonder, how can they access even the very basic training that they need?
We can do that. Yeah, we can definitely access. I mean, I can consult with them. You can definitely use us. I mean, we're pretty good. Like, but I mean, if for the small groups too. I mean, there's some stuff online, but talk with me. We'll see what we can do.
That's great.
Yeah. Hi.
Did you get resistance from IT departments because basically they have to admit that they're not that good?
Yes, we do. Not all the time though. you know, like some IT teams are like, yeah, definitely. And then some IT teams are like, what are you talking about? We can't add this onto our plate. You know, I mean, they're very overwhelmed. I can see. I mean, I don't know if I've ever known like a really super positive, happy IT guy. You know, like it's good to meet you. At least in the healthcare sector. I mean, they're great people, and I've spent a lot of time with the IT team. But yeah, there's resistance from time to time just because cybersecurity is kind of that glamorous word. So it's not, it's, you know, they're like, oh, okay, great. It's just another thing that we're going to do. And what do you need to know from me? And it's another project. So actually that kind of just made a thought for me because it is another project that they have to take on. So while we're working with them and we're working with their director and we're working with their leadership, they're the ones who are going to give us the information on what software they use, how many end users there are, how many VM servers they have, for example. You know, like there's all the things. So they have to take time out of their very busy day to help us navigate, you know, and get the information that we need. So yeah, resistance is common. Yep.
Why is this not reassuring?
Why is this not reassuring? I don't know. It's not. I mean, it's because it's this is the way of the world now. So you just kind of have to, you know, take all the hints and tips and keep yourself as safe as possible. I mean, like I had shared that quote there. John, would you like to share that quote?
The quote is an ancient quote from Sun Tzu about 3,000 years ago, and essentially it says, we know the attack is coming, we're going to prepare for your arrival. That's all this is. I mean, I'm in the data security business. This is all that you know it's going to happen, prepare for it, and know it and get tested, so know where you stand. Don't be surprised.
I've been listening to all the questions, and I know a number of you in the room tonight or today. Obviously, the Cape has its large companies, medium-sized companies, but there are a whole host of single-person, two-person providers, and we touched on churches and nonprofits. And I appreciate your willingness to talk to them, but realistically, it seems to me that these are groups and individuals who need it just as much as anyone else, and they're not going to be able to afford. They're not going to be able to afford services from a company like yours.
Thank you for bringing that up, Steve Tom, our membership director, by the way.
Oh, good.
So and I was going to mention this, but Steve teed it up perfectly. Rob Bateman of Open Cape, one of our board members, has taken the responsibility to put together IT and, you know, cybersecurity and networking. Just he's putting together a program that will be provided by the Tech Council and partners to provide these services and this information to small businesses who can't do it. It won't just be first thing on Friday mornings, because that's not convenient for everybody. We're going to move it around. But Rob has pulled together a group of people, some of whom are in the room today. Thank you very much. I would like to invite you perhaps to participate in that and you know, add your expertise and influence into this program, because it's something that, as you pointed out, is badly needed on the Cape. I mean, so I've heard the statistic, 95% of the businesses on Cape Cod have 5 or fewer employees. I mean, what IT staff, you know? I mean, so this is something we need. We're going to work to try. We can't do everything, but we can be part of the solution. So thank you. We're at the top of the hour.